I'm sure many of you woke up this morning and went, wow, that is pretty chilly out there. And you weren't wrong. We had temperatures in the upper 30s, low 40s this morning and gusty north winds. So, yeah, wind chills were in the mid to low 30s out there. So it was a very chilly morning, and it's going to be overall a chilly day. Let me get back to the daytime highs here to start off. 62, 63 degrees, which is about 10 degrees below the normal average out there. And below average for tonight, too. 41, 42 degrees. Could have some mid to upper 30s out there in low-lying areas. I think if we get any kind of a frost, it'll be minimal, but I can't necessarily rule it out in those lower areas where that cool air tends to pool. So just be prepared for that. On the high range, we're below average temperatures, but on the high range are those allergens, unfortunately, maple, oak, and hackberry in the high range. So, hey, typical for spring, the pollen counts are on the rise, and allergens are just unfortunately a part of what we have to deal with. Now, the other part is showers and thunderstorms for spring, which we've had quite a bit of lately, but we do have a break here today. We have dry air in place, and you can see the darker blues and kind of this sandy color here, but we do already have our next rainmaker off to the west, moving through the desert southwest there. So a few showers possible as this moves through. I should say a few showers and storms. It doesn't look like tomorrow evening, tomorrow night is a washout, but it does look like a few of us at least will get some storms. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. I want to talk about the rain we've had so far because it has been something else, I assure you. Now, despite all of these numbers, I still have people telling me, man, we really need rain. But I just want to show you by the numbers where we are. The March total here at the studio that my gauge here has measured, 8.08 inches of rain. That goes way past the March average of 3.3, and that's both DFW and Waco. And then for both of those locations too, year-to-date average 5.59 inches. 8.08. Now, what I'll point out is that both DFW and Waco are below that, but if you look at the rainfall we've had over the past 72 hours, it's mostly in between the two. So our particular area is ahead of both of those places, and we have gotten quite a bit of rain, and we, yes, have more on the way. It's been great for the lake levels, though. We're pretty much 100% full across the area. The Halbert Lake number, I think, is a little old there, but Lake Granbury, almost full, but for the most part, 100% full across the area today. So it's been great for the lake levels, and it's been great for our yards, at least in terms of growing them. Now, mowing them has been a different story. We continue to have rain over and over again, and I know that mowing a wet yard is not the easiest thing in the world, and unfortunately, we do have more rain on the way. So I want to time out tomorrow's showers and thunderstorms for you. Once again, we do have a risk of some severe weather, and we'll talk about that here shortly, but for now, we'll be looking at storms popping up right around 3, 4, 5 o'clock, that peak heating during the day. Now, I understand it's going to be cooler tomorrow. We're looking at mid-60s, so why are we looking at a severe weather risk? Well, we may get enough lift to get some gusty winds and some small hail, and they could just barely push that severe boundary, so that criteria rather. So it looks like maybe small, maybe up to pocket change hail, so I think if we do hit the severe level of the inch in diameter hail, I think we're just barely going to get there with the strongest storms. But 5 o'clock, we should see a few out there. By the time we get to 7, more widespread across the area. Now remember, this is a weather model. This is not saying that it's going to be exactly in this place. This is an estimation. This is the high resolution rapid refresh model, the 12Z run. So a few showers and thunderstorms out there, and the model thinks that by 8, 9 o'clock, we'll see just a kind of a unified cluster of storms moving through. I think that's fair, and that will be moving through, and then by 11 o'clock, that should be mostly out of there, and then by 1 a.m., out of our area. So it could be a little bit of noise as we're going to bed tomorrow night, but it shouldn't, again, be a major severe weather issue or anything. It's a marginal risk for our area. So and you can see that it's mostly kind of, well, most of our area, but really from Fort Worth, Waxahachie, Corsicana, and westward. And it's a marginal risk. So that's just saying could be some windier storms, could be some small hail out there. The tornado threat is very low at this point, so not really too concerned about that. So today, 62 breezy northwest winds. It's just kind of going to be a chilly spring day out there. Tomorrow, most of the day is dry, but yeah, late afternoon, evening, we will be looking at some storms popping up. Low 40s again tomorrow night. 70 Thursday. Northeast winds continue, and then Friday we get those winds back to the south, and they actually pick up. So winds at 10 to 20, gusting to 25 to 30 miles per hour Friday and Saturday. But Friday and Saturday we're in the 70s, warming up again. And then as we get into Easter, we'll be right around 80 degrees. So we are going from below average to above average by the time we get to the end of the forecast period. And then Monday, looks like we could be looking at our next rain chance. That's way on the edge of the forecast, so more time for that to change, but just be prepared for perhaps another chance of rain coming next week. Now, there's been a lot of people asking me, what is the forecast going to be for the eclipse? We're 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks out now, and we're starting to see people put the forecast for the eclipse on April 8th in their 14-day forecast. Here's the thing. I choose to do a 7-day forecast, not a 10, not a 14, a 7. The more days, the farther out you go with your forecast, the more likely it is that you'll have to change that forecast. And I had to change it for 7 days as well, but really, honestly, I have to explain more probability of change if I go to 10 to 14. So I choose to stick with a 7-day forecast. That way, I have to change what I'm telling you less, or at least I'm less likely to have to change it. So to me, it's just a matter of 7 being more reliable than 10, certainly more reliable than 14. So what is the eclipse forecast? We don't know. We're still waiting. It looks like, per the long-range models, that there will be a storm system in the area of the southern plains sometime during those days. Now, the last couple of days I've been looking at it, it looks like it pushes the storm system out of the way by the 8th, and we're on the dry backside of the system. Well, now, some of those models are starting to suggest we could have storms in our area on the 8th. And it could change again and again and again before we get there, and it probably will. So stay tuned over the course of the next week. I'll be watching the trends, and then this time next week, we will have the eclipse in our 7-day forecast. But for now, monitoring trends, but not making any kind of specific forecasts. But that's why you have to stay tuned to South Metro Weather for continued updates.